Good afternoon. My name is Michał Gajewski. I work for Electrotechnical Institute within Łukasiewicz Research Network. And at this part of the meeting, I would like to present you application of electric motors to propel watercrafts. Electric motors are one of the basic elements of electric drives of watercrafts. So the development of water electromobility is also related to the possibilities offered by this kind of machines. The subject of electrical motors are very extensive and interesting due to diversity of these machines, the magnetic effects appearing in them, and the history of these machines. Electric motors have a lot of advantages, especially they are eco-friendly. The exhaust gas is not appear, and the machine's operation is very silent. So we can use it in a silent zone and not causing effects on animals and environment. The electrical motors are economical. The efficiency is very high, above 90% and even more. Electrical motors also have a high reliability because of not many moving parts. Comparing to the combustion engines, they are much more reliable and can work much longer. The machines have also high power density, so the dimensions and weight is small on the power unit, and we can locate it freely in our boat on vehicle. Motors have a quick reaction on input changes, and it improves the pleasure of driving the boat. The electric motors can work as also a generator, so the operation is reversible and it's possible to use it more efficiently. The maintenance is very simple. We don't need to change the oil or change the spark plugs. We only need to care about a few things, not like a combustion engines. It's also possible to design the drive without gearboxes, which is very convenient, and additionally decrease the noise and improves the efficiency. The design contains a relatively small number of elements comparing to the combustion engines. So it's also improves the features. On the photo you can see the electric drive for a fishing boat. This photo was taken 1 year ago in the landscape in Missouri. So this drive can drive a boat, fishing boat, even in a silent zone where the rare animals and leaves and rare plants grow. So it's very eco-friendly. Electrical motors are characterized by various parameters. The motor can have a different type. Also, we can define the winding connection. The important machine parameter is output power, which is mechanical power on the shaft. Comparing to the input power, there's a difference because of efficiency. The machine can be also characterized by nominal and maximal speed and torque. The nominal and maximal parameters are not often the same because the machine has a characteristic. Another important parameter is efficiency and voltage, current, frequency, power factor. On this diagram, we can see the power conversion in the motor. On the left side, we can see input electric power represented by voltage and current. And on the right side, we have output power represented by torque and speed. The power conversion is within the motor in the magnetic core of the motor. I will explain a little on the next pages. Also, more detailed parameters of the motors need to be known. For example, power density, which is very important for mobile applications. It represents power to weight ratio. They have a very good power density comparing to the combustion engines. They are very small. Another parameter is thrust, dimensions, like a diameter, length, shaft, axis lift. We can use some of these parameters. Another important parameter is IP degree, especially for water applications. We need to have a large IP number sufficient to submerge the motor. This design of this proper propulsion is the propeller is connected with electric motor and directly on the one shaft and is submerged in water. We can only see the controller and hand with speeds. In this, we can see the parameters of this propeller propulsion. The thrust is 20 kilograms. On wave is 10 kilograms. It has 5 speeds forward and 2 reverse. The propeller has 3 blades, and the diameter of the blades is 24 centimeters. Please note the boat mass is near 1,000 kilograms, but the whole wave of the propeller is 10 kilograms, so it is only 1% of the whole mass. So comparing to the combustion engines, there is a big difference. Electric motors elements can be divided on stationary and moving. So the stator is stationary part and the rotor is rotating part. Both stator and rotor contains windings and magnetic core. Often for different type of motor we can also have a commutator. We also need insulation system for windings. Of course, the shaft and the bearings. Bearings shield also needed. We can also have a fan to improve the cooling, and clamping feet or collar for fixing the housing into other part of the boat. We need to also have a box with electric terminals and some transport features, for example, transport eye. I mentioned about commutator. There are two possibilities to use commutators. A commutator is a switching element. It is especially important for commutator motors, and it is placed on the rotor. But there is also possibility to use electronic commutator. It is designed to supply the rotor winding is switchable motors, so they call it brushless motors. In electric motors, there are various effects important when the motor is designed. There is conversion of electrical energy to mechanical energy by means of electromagnetic field. So there is effect of power losses described by the Joule formula and Ohm law. And the effect depends on material parameters and especially resistivity and magnetic hysteresis. The magnetic hysteresis comes from hysteresis loop and it describes magnetic features of the magnetic core. So this is needed especially for designers. Nowadays electric motors are well designed because of scientific progress, which helps understand and better control effects in machines. Also, there is development of materials and manufacturing technologies. Computer help also a lot. And nowadays we have a very modern electric motors, or rather whole propulsion systems with motor and electronic converter. The electric motors need to have windings. Windings are conducting material made of copper or aluminium. So the conductance characterize the materials and need to be high, and the alloy need to be clean without additional ingredients. Another important material used for electric motor is magnetic core. It needs to be made from laminations, and it described by a magnetizing curve. We can also have permanent magnets in the motors. They allows significantly improve power density, increase torque, and cause motor very small and with large torque for the same power. We need also have an insulation which is made of dielectric material. It is important to have a temperature, suitable temperature class of the insulation. Also, we have mechanical parts like a case and shaft. It's important to have a good quality of the material, and for water electromobility we need to have a good resistance on corrosion. Electric motors can be classified on asynchronous AC motors, and they can be classified next for cage rotors and rings motors. These motors are widely used, can be also applied in road vehicles. So they are commonly used in industry and well known. We can also have a synchronous AC motors with controller. They call it brushless AC motors with permanent magnets. We can meet also this kind of motor because of very good power density. Another type of the motor is switch direct current motors, which can be divided on brushless DC and reluctance motor. We can also have direct current motors or commutator universal motors. I will talk a little on the next pages. And so first, the asynchronous motors is well-known type of the motor. It has can have a advanced control method, and we can control torque of the motor and speed to have the best properties. However, the power density of this kind of motor is not the best. Another type of the motor is reluctance motor. Is simple and has economical construction. Manufacturing is easy and assembly also. It has concentrated windings. It requires electronic commutator. So this can be called also brushless switch reluctance motor. Power density of this motor also is not the best. Another type of the motor is commutator motor, often used in. The advantage of this motor is that it can be supplied through AC or DC source. It's also possible to obtain high speed with small dimensions, so it is often used in households and power tools equipment. But it requires the mechanical commutator and it reduces efficiency and reliability. This motor has also sparks and it has larger dimensions. Motor design needs to focus on electromagnetic effects first. Next, we can check the thermal design. If the thermal design is not well, we need to back to electromagnetic design. Finally, if we have some balance between electromagnetic design and thermal design, we can focus on mechanical design of the motor and have the suitable engine motor. The electrical motors need to withstand a lot of exposure, need to withstand overload. The insulation need to withstand large temperature. Also, vibration can happen, and motor needs to be proof on the whole effects, which can cause fatigues or occurring caused by cyclically changing loads. Also, in a water environment, moisture and salinity can cause corrosion, gradually reducing the mechanical strength of the structure and increasing the risk of the electrical short circuit. Electric motors can be a subject of various tests. They can withstand heating test when the temperature is measured at nominal load. Also, short circuit tests can be performed, and mechanical thermal resistance of the structure should be good. So after this test, electrical insulation should be in good condition. Also, vibration test can be performed, and the motor should be proof on the fatigue. Sealing and IP class verification tests also can be performed for water applications. The motor inspection and maintenance and repair is not very complex, but cannot be neglected. We need to check the condition of the seals. We need to check condition of the insulation and care about vibration of the motor. If one of these parameters is low, we need to focus and check the reason. Of course, during the maintenance, temporary maintenance, the engine needs to be cleaned, and salt need to remove the dust or other debris. In the case of fault, it's possible to rewind the rotor or stator. We can, of course, replace the bearings and balance the rotor and replace. Electric motor can have a protection system predicting failure and checking if the motor is not overloaded or short circuit is not happening. Also, for safety, the protection can measure residual current and cause not break of insulation, and there is no risk of electric shock. Also, insulation wear control is possible. We need to be we need to be sure our propulsion is in good condition. There are two standards relevant for electric motors and IP code for water applications. IP code need to be large and protects, for example, IP56 code, especially the number 6, means protection against a strong 100 liter per minute water jet poured on the housing from any side. On the next pages, I have some information about fully electric propulsion ships, larger size. This ferry was built and now is used as a transport ferry in Norway. And there are some information about hybrid drive system. Krzysztof already mentioned about details. I only would like to mention that electric motors are part of the hybrid system. Other elements are reciprocating engines and auxiliary elements. It's also needed generators, converters, and switchboards with circuit breakers and protection relays. We can also need batteries and chargers. Also, other sources of electricity can be used, as Krzysztof mentioned. We can also have photovoltaic cells on the roof of the ship. One important element is control system. It manages and optimizes the operation of the entire marine unit system by analyzing the energy demand and selecting the most favorable power scenario. In this feature, we can see electric motor location in a hybrid system. We can also take a focus on a special application where the explosive atmosphere is around the motor. Then we need to apply ATEX directive and apply a special kind of motors, which is suitable to use close to the gas source or other flammable substances or gases. So continuing the hybrid application, electric motors can cooperate with genset and the electric system. It allows better and more efficient operation. And as I mentioned, it's also possible to use photovoltaic cells, batteries, or fuel cells. This is an example of a hybrid drive where the motor drives the propeller, or a reciprocating engine can drive a propeller. So there are two possibilities to use. However, a gear is required. We also need, we can need additional gensets to provide power to the electric motor. This is one of the idea. Thank you very much for attention.